Okay, thank you for watching. This is what we're going to talk about today. Well, first we're going to review the stuff that we had done prior to, no, actually the stuff that we have done on before last week. All right, so on Thursday, in fact, okay, so we have import, coalition, controversy, obtain, permit, enclosure, reject, mainstay, psychological, and physiological. So we talked about these words, and let's see if you remember how to use them. Okay, so the first one is you can't drive a car unless you have a, which word means license, okay? One of these words on the list means license. Rice is the centerpiece of Taiwanese food, which word means centerpiece. The zoo's giraffe area is empty. The zoo's giraffe area is empty because the giraffe is dead. What do you call an area in the zoo where they keep animals? You can't grow cherries in Taiwan. You have to bring in cherries from other countries. What does it mean to bring in from other countries? Which word means that? NATO is a group of 30 nations. Okay, which word is a synonym for group? Tim applied to the university, but the university said no to his application. So which word means to say no? There is an ongoing disagreement on the safety of vaccines. By the way, which word means disagreement? By the way, ongoing means it is happening right now, in case you didn't know that. Zheng Jie killed 4 people. Zheng Jie killed 4 people on the subway because he had mental problems. Which word means mental? Okay, one of these words means mental. And as people get old, they develop bodily problems that require lots of medical attention, which word means bodily. Okay, so that's review from last Thursday. We'll see what we see. All right, today we are going to talk about this, right? Okay, on the suggestion by Stephanie, which I think is kind of interesting because it's a little bit, we won't go into very deep, but it's related to the science of COVID and how it relates to animals, where it came from and where it could go in the future. And obviously, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to tell you about the science. But I did find some information I think that is worth talking about, that I think is of some interest to you, and some perhaps surprising facts about animals and people as it relates to COVID-19. All right, so today we're going to come across these words, okay? Source, significance, available, hygiene, canine, feline, companion, and multiple. And we are going to talk about these things within the context of COVID-19 and people. Animals and people as it relates to COVID-19. So, what am I doing? Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's begin. All right, so the words that we're going to talk about today, we're going to preview them. Okay, one of these words means cats, dogs. One of these words means origin. I will ask you which word you think, you guess, means what. Okay, one means friend. One means many. Okay, which word means many? One means cleanliness. By the way, this word you have to read cleanliness, not clean, but cleanliness. We'll talk about why later. And one of these words means big, and one of these words means what you can get. So we'll talk about these vocabulary words, which are very important. Okay, but before we do that, let's get into it. Okay, and in class, perhaps you can, after you have listened to the reading, perhaps you can get a sense of what these words mean. Okay, so it's a long article. I found this on the CDC website, and it has lots of information. I'm not going to read all of it because it's very long. I think we might leave some to read when we meet in class, but I will read some and start us off on this topic. Okay. All right, so this is from the CDC, which is called the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This is the American version of the CDC. Every country has a CDC. We have one in Taiwan. I'm not sure what it's called, but I think it's also called the CDC. But anyway, so in case you're wondering, CDC stands for Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They didn't put the prevention in there, so if they had, it would be CDCP. But then, because people like to use three letters for the acronyms, it's easier to remember. So I guess that's why they decided to leave out the prevention part. Okay, so let's move on to today's topic: COVID-19, also known as SARS-CoV coronavirus 2. In case you didn't know that, in the beginning everybody knew that, but now people have are so used to calling it COVID-19, people have forgotten that the virus that causes SARS COVID-19 is called coronavirus 2. All right, so today's topic, COVID-19 and animals. Okay, so let's first talk about what we, summarize what we know. Okay, what we need to know. Okay, before we read. Okay, all right, let's continue. Oh, wait. Let me make this a bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to see. All right, here we go. All right. We do not know the exact source. Origin. Source means origin. The beginning, where it came from. So we do not know the exact source, origin of the current outbreak of coronavirus disease 2019, also known as COVID-19. But we know that it originally came from an animal, likely a bat. Okay, so a disease that comes from an animal, okay, a disease that comes from an animal is called zoological. Okay, so if something is zoological, it means it comes from an animal. Okay, notice the word zoo in there, right? So that's very easy to remember, right? Yes. So if a disease comes from an animal, is zoological. Okay, so COVID-19 is a zoological disease. Okay, and it probably came from a bat. We don't know for sure, but we think it came from a bat. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that the disease somehow jumped from animal to person, right? Yes. So already we know that animals to human transmission, animals to human transmission is true. It is possible. Okay. In fact, it has happened. That's why we have a name called zoological diseases. Okay, continue. At this time, there is no evidence that animals play a significant role in spreading SARS-CoV coronavirus 2, the virus that causes COVID-19 to people. What does that mean? Yes, animals to human transmission is possible, but not significant. Okay, there's no evidence that animals play a significant role. They do play a role, but they do not play a significant role. And what is significant? It means big, important. Okay, they don't play a significant role. In other words, when the animal that gave coronavirus to a person or people in Wuhan, let's say it's a bat, that didn't happen a lot. It happened once or twice, or it does happen, but it doesn't happen so much that we should be too worried about it. So that's why it says animals do not play a significant role in spreading COVID-19. Continue. Based on the available information to date, the risk of animals spreading COVID-19 to people is considered low. All right. So available means the information we can get. We have to kind of change the sentence a little bit. Available information. Available information means information we can get. Available. Something available to you is something you can get. Okay. More studies are needed to understand if and how different animals could be affected by COVID-19. In other words, we really don't know. We just don't know too much about animals and COVID-19. Okay, we know that animals can give it to people, but we also know that that's very uncommon. Okay, it's rare. Okay, we are still learning about this virus, but we do not know it can spread from people to animals in some situations. Sorry, we do know. I'm sorry, I'll say that again. We are still learning about this virus, but we know that it can spread from people to animals in some situations, especially during close contact. In other words, human to animal transmission, yes, it is possible. Okay, so here we have two conclusions. Okay, number one, animals to human, yes, but rare. Humans to animals, yes, also rare, but we just don't know. Okay, right? So so that is the basic thing that we have to know about this topic. People with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 should avoid contact with animals, including pets, livestock meaning farm animals, and wildlife. So if you have COVID-19, stay away from pets, farm animals, livestock, and wildlife, wild animals. Okay, all right. So let's look at some simple questions on this topic. Questions about COVID-19 animals. Here we go. Can I get COVID-19 from pets and other animals? The answer is yes, you can. Yes. Yes. But it isn't, we just don't know how it happens, or it isn't, the chances are very low, okay? All right, so let's read the report. Based on the available, again, information we can get, available information to date, the risk of animals spreading COVID-19 to people is considered very low, okay? So yes, but the risk is very low. That is the answer, okay? However, since animals can spread other diseases to people, it is always a good idea to practice healthy habits around pets and other animals, such as washing your hands and maintaining good hygiene. Hygiene is cleanliness, okay? So when you brush your teeth, wash your hair, take a bath, those things are activities that improve your hygiene, okay? All right. Question 2. All right, so the answer to question 1 is, can I get COVID-19 from other animals? Yes, you can, but the risk is very low. Number 2, can wild animals spread COVID-19 to people and pets? The answer is, we don't know, okay? Currently, there is no evidence to suggest that the virus that causes COVID-19 is circulating in free-living wildlife in the United States, or that wildlife might be a source of infection for people in the United States. So they don't have data, they don't have information in the United States. However, if a wild animal were to become infected with the virus, we don't know whether the infection could then spread among wildlife, or if it could spread to other animals, including pets. Further studies are needed to understand this. So the answer is, we don't know. Oops, why is it in Chinese? We don't know. Okay. All right. So can I get COVID-19 for animals? Yes, you can, but the risk is very low. Can animals spread COVID-19 to people and pets? Okay. Can wild animals spread COVID-19 to people and pets? We don't know. Okay. However, we already know that it happened at least one time. Okay. When the wild animal, probably a bat, gave COVID-19, okay, spread it to a person or people for the first time, okay. Now, the idea of how it's spread, that's it didn't say how, right? Eating the animal is different from being in the same room as the animal. So that is, again, that is something that is unclear. Okay, we just don't know. Okay, all right. We will read some of this in class today. Okay, and then we'll come to our own conclusions. We cannot, however. Oh, and let me jump ahead. So we'll read most of this over here. It talks about what the coronavirus is, okay, and how it affects people and animals, okay. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the risk of animals spreading SARS and coronavirus 2, and also known as COVID-19, to people, the risk of animals spreading to people. And then we're going to talk about the risk of people spreading SARS to animals. Basically, we're talking about these two topics: animals to people spreading and people to animals spreading, okay. And we might, if time permits, talk about animals with reported SARS-CoV-19 infections, okay. And we'll talk about that. And then we're going to make a special mention about minks. This animal is called the mink, okay. And apparently minks are especially susceptible, especially vulnerable to getting COVID-19 from people and probably from animals. We don't know, okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, mink. There are mink farms where uh, we allow them to reproduce, and we grow minks so that we can get their fur, right, to make fur coats. Fur coats are traditionally made with mink hair, right? Okay, mink fur. Okay. All right. And then we'll talk about the special case with minks. Okay. And then how is that special case actually is perhaps a subject for study in the future. Okay. So people to pets, yes. Animals to people, we don't know, but see minks, right? That's what I said, right? We don't know if animals can spread to people. Yes and no, we're not sure how that happens, but there is a special case to be said for minks where we know that people gave it to minks and then minks gave it back to people. We think, okay? Wild animals to pet animals, we don't know. There's just no answer to that. And pet animals to wild animals, again, we don't know. We just don't have evidence for that yet, okay? All right, and then we will go on to talk about some, today we'll save some time for some translation, 翻译题, and then also some reading comprehension and 课漏字 from college 学测 tests. I know it's not interesting, but it is what it is. Okay, all right. But I think this is interesting. All right, it's something that we don't often talk about, and you know, I look forward to sharing and talking about this with you guys. Okay, all right. So wait a minute. Okay, yes. Well, we'll talk about the vocabulary words later. Okay, again in class. We won't spend too much time doing that. Okay, all right. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is, perhaps we could talk about it, is the case of Derek Chauvin. You know, the guy who sat on a man and he killed him. Well, he was sentenced to 22 years in prison for his actions as a police officer. So we can talk a little bit about that. Just conversation. You don't have to do any vocabulary words or anything. Okay, just conversation. And also, if you are going to high school, or if you're in junior high school still, you are welcome, obviously, to ask me any questions related to English, and maybe I can talk to you. Maybe I can answer those questions for you. Okay, I'll see you guys in class. Watch this video. I don't want to make it too long because I know that you guys have trouble watching long videos, as I do. So, all right, but please try to watch this all the way through.